And to anchor this session is no other person than the wonderful, amazing Mrs. Angela Ajala of Ladella Schools. Put your hands together for her as she comes forward. Ms. Angela Ajala will be the one anchoring this session. I'm going to call the panelists to please come forward, starting from the venerable Coach Sam Obafemi. Please come forward, and if you put your hands together for Coach Sam Obafemi. He's been most gracious. He's been with us all day despite his schedule, his very busy schedule. Thank you so much for being here. Please have a seat beside Madam Angela. Next on our list is Mr. Alex Onya. Mr. Alex Onya, please kindly come forward. Get settled down really quickly. Mr. Alex Onya, please come forward. If you're not in the building, can we please welcome Rita Egujovo. Mrs. Rita Egujovo. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name like French. That's where I'm from, you know. It's not. Put your hands together for the wonderful Rita. She comes forward. We're going to be talking about how to survive the harsh Nigerian environment, and Rita looks like she's thriving regardless. Thriving regardless. Next is Dr. Chito Wanna. Dr. Chito Wanna. Listen. Dr. Chito is coming forward, making her way gracefully forward. Kindly remove the... Thank you. Sorry about that. You can put it off. You can put it off. Okay, you can burn. Yes. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to be handing over to Mrs. Angela to continue this session and anchor it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a very pleasant good afternoon to all our distinguished guests, our very highly esteemed school owners, our VVIPs, and all the friends of ASNI. Thank you very much for being part of this session. We welcome you specially. This particular session, we're going to be looking at sustaining business in an unfriendly economy. And we all know that the economy is unfriendly. But before we start, I want each of the speakers to introduce themselves and their background so that when we're taking questions based on their industry and how we're going to relate it to schools, you'll get a wholesome picture. So I'll give each of them 2 minutes, introduce themselves, say something about their industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Good afternoon, everyone, and all protocols duly observed. My name is Sam Obafemi, called Coach Sam. I'm a life coach and a business development person. Thank you for having us.
Good afternoon, everyone.
No, coach, that's not enough. What does a life coach mean? No, that's not.
Okay. So a life coach is someone that helps you move from where you are to where you want to be. And part of my job is to help you psychologically prepare yourself for the journey and help you build strategies to arrive at the journey. And then to add to that, I like to make money. So one of the things I do effortlessly is to help people make money. And that's something I love to do. I enjoy doing it. And I hope that some of my answers today will help you find a pathway to make more money than you currently make. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you very much, Coach. And thank you, Mommy Ajala, for making sure he spills more. My name is Rita Onome Egujowo. I am the station manager for Hot 98.3 FM. So I'm a broadcast journalist by training. And beyond being a broadcast journalist, I am a brand visibility consultant. I talk for a living, not just on radio. I'm a director of ceremonies. I love to MC events. My strengths are weddings and corporate events. Okay. Now, when it comes to communications and brand visibility, as schools that are here, we're going to be talking about what you need to do to make yourself more visible and be able to attract, the clientele that you need in your institution. I think we should leave it there and we move on. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Dr. Chito Wana. I am by profession a consultant obstetrician gynecologist, the CEO of Tabitha Medical Center here in Abuja. So I'm a whole different sector as we speak. So I hope I'm able to. I hope our experience in the health sector could also, at least give some help to those in the school sector. We're pretty much connected in the sense that you have to be healthy to learn. I was told that today, so I think that if teachers think that way, then it's absolutely great. I'm also someone that believes in my field about patient-centered care, in the sense that I believe in the individual. So we kind of journey. So our way of practice is different. I think that was one of the things that have helped us to be unique is that we kind of journey with patients and we try as much as possible to take care of the needs of women and especially women and children. But I mean, of course, we take care of everyone, but our focus is women and children, as I am actually a gynecologist and my partner is a pediatrician. So I think that's pretty much. I think we'll just talk more as we go along, and I also have a background in psychology, so I think that aspect really also helps.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I'm not the kind of person that normally likes to talk in the public. So my name is Alex. I'm the CEO of Educare. So I started my first company at age 19, and I've actually done a lot. I've actually built different businesses, and most of the businesses have been worth millions of dollars. And across building Educare, I've also helped a lot of schools grow from short numbers to high numbers. And I've heard a lot of school owners talk about different kinds of problems, and I've given them very smart and quick answers to help them grow faster. And another thing is I've also seen a lot of schools losing a lot of staff. And I always tell them that more staff will be lost because of inflation. And funnily, many people are not even leaving schools for another school. They're even leaving school to tech. So I'm always happy to help schools, and this is why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And please, I need you to get your questions ready. This is a session that we're looking at how to sustain ourselves in a very unfriendly economy, in a very harsh business economy, in an economy that is very unpredictable. What you meet yesterday is not what you meet today. And so we need to know the things we need to begin to do to go forward. Everyone is fighting a battle, and everyone is dealing with something. Usually they say there are certain businesses that do well when there's a recession or when there's a problem. You have businesses that are classified as essential services. And I used to think education was essential service and that education was key. I don't know if it is our leadership or if it is our culture or if it's our priority, but when the chips were down, education didn't look like an essential service again. And I wondered where we got it wrong, that it didn't fit into that category. I'm hoping some of our members on this panel are going to tell us, because essential services now moved on to food, to health, to services, logistics, to anything baby food, baby supplies and all that. Those were the things that became essential even in what we were doing. Now, is education an essential service? I want you to look at that. And how can the education business thrive in such an economy that doesn't give you notice of anything? If you take statistics, just because we don't have data of the last COVID experiences, many schools closed down. Many are still struggling. They've not been able to find their head above water. And just as they are trying to struggle to see what to do, the inflation and the policies and what is happening doesn't make it easy. It's the same parents that we're all circling around, and it's also not easy for them. It's the same parents that are also accessing education and other things. And so how do you survive in such an economy? What do you do? If you lower your fees, it's as if your standards have been lowered. If you increase your fees for inflation, it's as if you're a Shylock. So there's a balance that is difficult for the schools to know how to handle. And yet the schools, they have to do many things. If I take media, you have to be out there. Visibility is key for you. If I take your medical area, that is also important. Mental health for the children, for the staff, so they don't break down, so that they are aware, they know their limits, they know their thresholds, they know when their bodies are resisting something and how to go forward. We take your area also to know the quick answers to solutions that are bothering us. If we take Coach Sam's area also, he is even it's like a serial entrepreneur. So is it in the area of business management? Is it in the area of strategy? Is it in the area of coaching? What are those things that schools must begin to do, that they must begin to survive and stay afloat, even in this very difficult and harsh economy? That's one thing I want you to do. Secondly, the first thing people do when they're in an unfriendly economy is to cut down. Everybody cuts down. They cut down on things that they believe are non-essential. Are parents cutting down on education? Are they looking at schools that are cheaper? And how do we now continue to move in those areas, in those kind of things? So, because the first thing they even tell you as a business is to lower your operating costs so that you run a lean operation. So how do you do that in an environment that you want to give yet the highest standards that you want to give? In what ways can we survive and strengthen our businesses in such an environment? And so I welcome everybody to this very robust interaction. I hope your questions are ready, as we'll give each of the speakers 5 minutes to look at what we've spoken about, take it from their industry, relate it to the education industry, and see the kind of solutions we can begin to see going forward. And of course, I'll start with the shy person.
Hello, everyone.
Mr. Alex, sorry for putting you on the spot.
No problem. Hello, everyone. Okay, I'd like us to pay attention because some of the things I will say, you may find them very helpful. A lot of things are changing, and a lot of things have changed. I know schools, for people who don't know what schools really are, let's say people that are observing schools from the outside, they see it as a cash cow. But if you've ever owned a school, money is coming, but you'll be looking for the money, you can't find it. So the reason is that there are some things that take away your money. One is energy, that is power. Diesel. Diesel is 650, some places are 700. The staff cost, you are paying your staff, let's say, 150, 200, 250, and they keep complaining that the money is not enough. And what happens is that you keep losing some quality staff to maybe a competing school or to something else you don't know, or they are going to Dubai or they are going to the UK to get the same job. Of course, you can't compete with them. And these things are happening. We also have experienced such issues. You know, our industry is different from yours because we don't pay low fees. I mean, average engineering cost for us is like, let's say, $3,000, $4,000 per month. So I know schools may not be able to afford that for their basic staff. So because of the talent gap, you understand? So, and when Google is coming with $10,000 per month, we'll lose a lot of staff to Microsoft, you lose to Google. And if you spend 2 years to be able to build someone and the person disappears, you know how painful it is. And you know how much you have to invest in a particular teacher to be able to get to the level that you want to say, okay, I have a teacher in early years. So when you spend such amount of money on outside trainings and some of these things, and all of a sudden, they leave, what will you do? That's where your problem starts. And what makes every good business is the quality of talent you have. You can lose customers and get new ones. You can lose children and new ones will come. But once you lose quality teachers, what will happen is that the standard and the quality of your school will start doing what? Dropping. And when they start dropping, it's very hard for them to come up. So there's one of the things I discovered when we had this Just Dubai in 2019. So I was discussing with some of the people that came. I told them that you guys need to start. Our solution is high automation. We try to see how much we can automate and remove human beings as much as we can. And also, we also introduce standardization. I told them that I don't believe that the quality of a school should be relied on maybe one good physics teacher that makes your physics score high. I believe that every school needs to have their own content and standard. I always reference this school called Bridge School. Bridge School is the fastest growing school in the world, and they have over 300,000 students or even more. And what they did is this, they have this standard. And guess what? Bridge School is not like the massive structure schools. They have small classes, small fees, across different countries, right? And they use the same content. And guess what? Their performance is higher than every other school that you know. What do? They standardize their content. But this is a critical investment every school needs to do. So that if I say I'm going to, let's say, Starview School, the Starview School of today will be the Starview School of the next 50 years when the owners are not there. And when a teacher leaves, it's very easy to bring in a new teacher. So your focus will now be on the teaching style and not on the content. So that even the lesson plans, you give it to them. So, because there's really so much you can do. That's why school is very difficult to invest in. Because if I look at your school, I can tell you that the max you can get within the next 10 years is maybe 5 billion or 10 billion or 20 billion. And then as an investor, I want 100x. Your school can give it to me. So because of that, I can invest in your business. Unlike tech, that I can tell you that our business is worth, let's say, $2 million today, and next 3 years, it's probably $3 billion. You get my point? So because of that, you guys have to struggle. And unfortunately, the government is not helping. And I keep telling them, fortunately, I'm close to my governor, and I've told him several times that you need me more than I need you. And the reason is very simple. If I stop innovating, you may not see it so quickly. And when all of us travel abroad, right, and you'll be left with people probably that may not give you what I will give you. At the end of the day, you see that crime will increase. You know, when I see people own private schools, it's actually very emotional for me, because I see these guys are people who are genuinely interested in growing the economy. Because when we talk about crime is lack of knowledge. Crime is lack of information. Those people that are committing crime genuinely doesn't want to commit crime. If they are being guided properly, they will see that peace is much more impactful and better than crime. So at the end of the day, you see that when more people are educated, there's a safer Nigeria. There's a safer economy. And right now, when I was coming here, I was looking at, I just saw someone selling something. I was like, could we get to the point whereby people from Vietnam, people from China are the ones coming to do menial jobs for us in Nigeria? Whereby Nigerians are actually the ones that the international market is really looking for. You understand? So that means a lot of education needs to happen. And people that own private schools are the ones that are trying to fill the gap. Because in a sane economy, it's actually the government that does most of the work. Now, almost everything is going negative. The cost of running these schools are so much, and the teachers are still complaining that the money is not enough. And they will keep complaining more. And why do they leave to tech? You take some knowledge, you apply it, and you are earning like, let's say, $1,000 with little stress. Why would I want to keep killing myself teaching when I can earn more in tech?
Thank you, sir.
So people keep wondering, the strategy that school owners use, probably someone that keep growing children, they will give them discounts in their fees, and they will hold them for the next 10 years or 5 years. By the time their children grow up, they will start giving you excuses, or they will disappear. Or probably if they get better offer somewhere else, they will take their children and disappear. But I think that if business owners, like the school owners, start taking this point of high automation and high standardization, that gives them a hope for tomorrow. But if you want to keep wondering why, and also, I was talking to someone earlier today, I was saying that I don't know how much you engage with your customers through anonymous surveys.
Yeah.
I didn't say known surveys. If you really want to get the truth from people, don't let them know that you are the one asking. You can frame it to be a research from the school. When you get real feedbacks, it helps you to grow. But if you don't do that, you keep hearing the same lies just to make you feel better. So I just feel that if schools start taking these things seriously, the chances of them to grow will be much higher. Because if you don't do it, it will just, you won't even know when you die. Because when there's no more money, everybody leaves.
Thank you, sir. I need to.
You understand? So I just feel that without taking so much of our time, I just feel that it's really important that we start looking critically in these areas. So, because another thing we need to notice that most people who own schools never encourages their children to be teachers. So I don't even think that there's even anybody that owns a school that the child is a teacher. The only thing that they encourage their children to be are the ones that will come and take over the school. So why would you think that, how can you inspire me to be a teacher when I know your children are not teachers?
Okay, so on that note, I should stop him.
So that means there should be something else we start looking at, of course.
Thank you very much.
You're
For
welcome.
somebody that is shy, you have done well. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sure we all got, just to recap some of the things he said. He said, people perceive schools like cash cow because, they calculate your fees for you and say he has 300 children times 200,000 is charging. That's all that money is going to your pocket too. You are not paying salaries. You are not paying nothing. You're not paying any bill. It's going into your pocket. That's how people perceive schools. And so because there's that perception, you must learn to also make sure you leverage on lean operation costs. And he gave the example of energy. I'm sure you saw an energy company here. I went on solar 2 years ago. I'm not on NEPA. I'm not on diesel. I'm on pure solar. So I'm taking my solar with the IFC now to get carbon credits to take higher for me and to take money. That is where you should be going. So when people say diesel is 700, I say, hey, yeah. So I'm wondering, because I knew it was a major drastic cut I needed to do. There's no way I'm going to survive. Where we packed to, I called NEPA, come and check for us. They checked and they said, Auntie, your bill is 1.4 million a month that you are going to pay for NEPA for this building. And that's because the manager is my friend. And she said, we are increasing NEPA fees 30% every quarter without telling anybody because Nigerians will shout. So why would I go for it? So you must look at what are the things that are draining your resources. Remove it. Solar is once and for all in your life. You don't go back again. What are you doing with it? You can face it. All lights first, then you add fan, then you add this. Face it. But it's a final decision and it's a final expense. You get out of the way. You know that the rest, you can do better. So take that from there. Then quality staff. He said a lot of them are leaving. And one of the ways you can make sure that your school, whether you have staff going or not, is to make sure you have automated your processes. Both in terms of teaching, in terms of instruction, in terms of administration, automated processes. And if you automate, make sure they are standardized. It is the same thing. So if your customer care manager in the office, you call the school and they say, good afternoon, this is Ladela School, how may I help you? If I have a Ladela School in Dubai, it is the same way they must answer the phone. Automated, standardized, same thing across board. So we must begin to look at those structures to begin to happen for us so that we begin to make sure we're running well. Then he even talked about giving lesson plans to teachers. I had that argument a few days ago with some people. I said, you don't want the teachers to think? They say, no. Have you seen the nonsense some people write? Prepare your lesson plans the way you want. And if it is standardized, they just take how to deliver and what is necessary. And you have those meetings that are just for delivery sessions so that you are also standardizing that process for them to make it easier for them. And then anonymous survey. We have the mystery shoppers. I don't know whether Stella is there. There are people that they go to your school for you like a mystery shopper. And they check what it is. And they let you know from the time they enter till the time they leave, the process and what they met. So that you can know if the people you put there, they are doing the right thing. So thank you very much, Mr. Nya. Thank you so very much. I hope that captured all what you said. Excellent. Thank you very much. So we go to Tabitha. You are doing great. I've never met you, but I've heard great things about your medical center. Thank you very much. So we'll take you now. Thank you.
All right. So I'm just hoping that what I say concerning the health sector somewhat translates to schools. I will say that one of the things I will say that we share in common is that many of us set up either hospitals or schools with a passion. For teachers or for school owners is because they have a passion to educate. For us as doctors is because we have a passion to treat or save lives. Now, one of the things that comes with that, and I think I've learned, because the whole process of setting up my hospital, running my hospital has been a journey in itself of a lot of learning, a lot of falls. You fall, you stand up again, is that if you're passionate without business skills, you will fall. Because sometimes with passion, and this is what I love with my passion, you can be burnt a lot of times because you don't have your business model. You don't have structure. You actually start with this and you don't see those areas that you need to take care of to be a successful business. For us in the health sector, I would say that when I started my business, I actually returned to Nigeria, by the way. So I also practice in the U.S. And so to me, it was a big jump and a sacrifice when I returned back to Nigeria. But there's no place like home. I'll just say that 100%. And when I returned, for me, it was a passion for women's health. You know, telling myself there's so many areas and so many gaps in how we are taken care of, and I could fill those gaps. So I was passionate. But one of the things that I did was I started small. You know, I think when it comes to business, a lot of people watch other people and they jump in big. But I found out that there's so much success in starting small and learning the terrain before growing from small to big. But that being said, I would tell you that I really cruised through business without knowing much of the business part of it. And then I think I learned over time. But then when COVID came, when COVID hit, I know schools were deeply affected, and people may not believe this, but hospitals were really affected, and many of us closed down, okay? Many hospitals did have to shut down because they had to reduce staff and all that, because all the supplies we need, down to gloves, quadrupled. You know, everybody was now buying the things we use in the hospital, and all those demands quadrupled completely. And we, unfortunately, in Nigeria, don't manufacture a lot of things we use. So when the dollar fluctuates, everything we need in the hospital goes sky high. And we have poor funding, and we always, believe it or not, bottom of the list when it comes to investors or funding. So that was the struggle. What did I do? One of the things I realized, people talk about power a lot as being the highest cost, but I'm sorry, for us, it's human resources. All right. And there's one thing I always said to myself in terms of my HR to revenue ratio, that we all know that has to be between 30 and 35%. And a lot of times my business, I'm thinking like my HR is like 70%, you know, that the ratio is pretty high where it concerns my business. At the same time, there's one thing I was very stubborn about, is that quality will never be compromised, because that was the main thing, is that I'm going to deliver patient-centered care in a quality way, and I will not compromise quality. So my business model and my structure has to go and be modified in a way that I will make sure that the quality of care, because we deal with lives, is not compromised. So one of the things we did, I'll just tell you little things that we did. One thing was looking at our operational costs, like you said. Like this solar thing is really, I think, an amazing idea that I haven't yet gone into, so I'm dying from diesel, but it's a great idea. And we looked at other things that, you know, distracted us, that we didn't need or we couldn't need. We actually also reduced our costs by introducing a new idea, like telemedicine, where we're able to actually see patients from where they are, from some part of some problems, and in that way we're able to reduce the kind of cost that is needed when patients come to the hospital for things that we can easily talk to them about through the screen. So I think sometimes in an economy like us, it will push new ideas. So you always have to have what you call a brainstorming team. I have a phenomenal brainstorming team. Very important to have a team. John Maxwell talks about when you go and you do brainstorming with your team and you come out like you're tired and they beat you up, change your team. Yeah. So it's very important to have a team that is bringing ideas to the table, and you have to be open for other people's ideas, because if you think it's only about your vision, you're going to miss it. Yeah. And another thing that came to us, that came to me during that time, that I'm thankful for, is that my vision, I call my vision, birthed a new baby vision. So I came, you know, being a hospital quality care, but I now had to look at what is my distinctive. And I think that's important for schools, because from a parent point of view, I find it very hard to find what is really distinct in one school over the other school. And a lot of times, yes, we do choose schools like, oh, this is a big school, a known school, they have international curriculum, and we make those things. But one day I saw someone that, I mean, if I see a school today that is big on arts and sports, I carry my child to that school and dump my child there with speed, because that's something that I believe is missing. So what's your distinctive? Are you just all the same, or is there an area that you're going to shine and rise? For us, we picked that our distinctive was women. Women and children kind of follow women, so you always cater for children. But my strength was women's health. So I had to get myself from being distracted so much from all the other things that bog the business down, and rebrand myself and pick my demographic and market to my demographic. And I realized by doing that, we just had more patients, funny enough, because they knew that we come to Tabitha, that's women's health. It's called specialization. And sometimes it works in an economy like ours. Another thing that I will also say is, that's one that I just said it, is knowing your demographic. Marketing analysis is very important for any business. Competitive analysis is very important. It's actually the competitive analysis that will allow you to know what your distinctive is. And I think that's something that I will say that is the same between the health sector and schools, because every school has their strength. What is your strength? What are you selling? Because all we see is we go to different schools, and I can come from both sides because I'm a parent that believes in education. I can invest my life because that to me is so important for a child. But I also know that the times have changed. And right now, if you want to get into a important college or you want to have a global child, the child has to be well-rounded. Okay. Academic, sports, arts, music, talent. We need to generate technology. So those are key things that I use to look at a school. How strong are you in these areas and how can you build that? So I think that's maybe what I would say that I think can translate a bit to the school education sector. And also I want to say one thing. I don't know it all, let me not lie. A school owner gave me one of the best advices, which is really funny because a school owner actually helped me in my business. She said, if you want to invest your money in two things, human resources and accounting, your books need to be kept straight. Yeah. And I said, oh, but they're so expensive. She said, look, this is the two things that in my school, and she has a very successful school in Abuja, these are the two things that is very important. You get your human resources right, you get your accounting right, your school or your business will not fail. And I took that and it has made a huge impact on Tabitha Medical Center. So that's a little bit what I said.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The point of bringing diverse industries is to let you know, many times schools don't know they're running a business. You say, what are you doing? Say, I'm running a school. It's a business. It's an education. You're in the education business. You are like a typical Dangote, a Tabitha Medical, a GT. That is who you are. But you take that passion and you let it over. You blind yourself with the passion. You throw out the business principles. And so we must go back to first know that it's good to be passionate, but we must also operate along very clear business principles, like a typical business will do. So the checklist. Do I have a management board? Do I have an advisory board? Do I have a business continuity plan? Do I have my auditor's account? Clear. Your checklist for a typical business must each one be check, check, check. So that must begin to happen even from here. I'll take a roundup of what you say. Schools are set up with a passion, yes. In business, you fall and you stand. So we know that some of us are falling, some of us are standing, some of us are teetering, but you stand. And if you are passionate, without the business skills, you will keep falling. So you need to learn business skills to run your business well. Your passion alone cannot run your school. You need to have the skills of business to run your school well. And if you start small and you learn the terrain, then you can scale. Don't take on too much. You'll see some people, they've just started in nursery school. They've barely done 3 years. Parents are asking me to start secondary. What do you know about the nursery you are doing? So, of course, when they come to me and say, Mr. Jala, they say we should start secondary. I say, let's start. Is it me that will say she don't start? Then they say she doesn't want us to start. Oh, yeah, start. If your own business sense does not tell you to understand that little one you have started, get it right, automate it, commercialize it, make it known before you go on to the next. Who is going to tell you that? I mean, it just makes sense. So it's important to get your terrain properly, learn it before you move on to the next thing, and then you can scale. Because the processes you have used here, you can replicate those processes in the next step. That goes for that. And then she talked about telemedicine, to cut costs. I remember one time my granddaughter was sick and it was COVID and they said, we couldn't come to the hospital. I said, so what will we do? Then the doctor said, oh yeah, she did Zoom. Open your mouth. We opened the girl's mouth in front of the Zoom. And she checked. I said, what are you seeing anything from that Zoom? Because we're used to physical. So I was like, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy. So she did what she did. We still call all our Nigerian doctors to confirm. Are you sure what she said? But that's the way to go. That is the future. So for schools, a lot of technology companies have spoken. Let's also embrace what we need to begin to do there. Don't compromise quality no matter what you do. Make sure you do not compromise quality. Always have a brainstorming team. We have a quality assurance team that they brainstorm every month for us on everything. And you must always make sure you have that in your school system. People that their heads are correct, they research properly, they follow trends, they know what is happening, and they can tell you this is the next thing coming. Let's look at it. So make sure you are brainstorming to take ideas. And then, what is your USP? What's your unique selling point? Have a niche. Many schools cannot be identified with anything. What can we identify you with? Let's know your niche so that people can begin to follow your niche. And once you know your niche, you pick your market, you market to your market, you scale up, and you're good to go. Thank you very much, Thebita, for that. I hope I captured it well. Thank you very much. And then we go to Queen Rita, media. You know, media is like, hey, media, good and bad.
Thank you very much, Mommy Angela. You know, Coach Sam and I was just saying that this health woman has done our job. While she was speaking, you know, we started with a gentleman who said he doesn't like talking. And then he talked everything, you know. I'm going to start by, because most of what I jotted down to say have been said, I'm going to start by telling us an experience or a story as a parent. I have 3 children, by the way, and they're all in school, different levels. Now, my last baby, when he was still in primary school, at some point came home and he keeps saying, I don't want to go to school. That's somebody who ordinarily was super excited about school. So we started asking questions. Initially, all 3 of them were in the same school. The first one left, and then the next one left. Of course, this is the youngest. He will be the last to leave the primary school. So we started to ask questions, and I didn't quite like the response I was getting. And after a while, we decided to change his school. So we took him from that school and we sent him to another school. One of the things that happened first that made me take that decision was the day he came home and said, Mommy, I want to do my birthday in school. And we said, why? You're an August baby. Your birthday is always during holidays. So why do you want to do your birthday in school? And my son said, my teacher said I'm the only one that don't do my birthday in school. Yes, but that's not where it stops. When I queried that action at a PTA meeting, a parent actually advised, hey, you can just give him Capri-Sun and stuff to take to school. I said, hello? Why are we even having this conversation? Why will a teacher say that to my son? So I took him from that school. We changed his school. When the new session started and we took him to this new school, 4 weeks had passed. The school did not call to ask, where is this boy? He did not resume. Yes. And if the boy misses school one day, in the new school, we got a call. That's besides the experience we had when we went to this new school, okay? First thing I noticed is from the gate to the classroom, the gate man will greet me, Madam, welcome, Madam, how is work? The first student I passed will greet me, good afternoon, ma. You know, I noticed something was different. Why am I telling you this? I said most of what I jotted down, they have said. But consistency and clientele. I have a dual, both medical, because I'm married to a medical person, and I have younger ones who are medical, who's a medical person as well. And where my husband works, they don't talk about patients. They talk about clients. They have client care. They don't have patient care. So it's a different ball game, right? So as a school, what is the service you are given beyond 1 + 1 is 2? When she spoke about your unique selling points, what is that thing what is the perception that a parent gets when they come into your school? When a guardian brings a child to your school, what is the perception? When Mommy Angela says that I have somebody who comes in as maybe a ghost parent and tells me the experience from the gate to wherever they get to in my place, I would say from the gate to the mast, since I'm a radio station. What is the experience what's the aura that I have about your school? That's one question I want to drop there. Now let's talk about radio or TV or online or advertising your school. We spoke about COVID and the fact that people are cutting costs. Now, one of the things that happens with businesses generally, sadly, not just schools, when you talk about cutting costs, the first thing you take out is advertising. You just take it out because we feel it's not important. And then I ask you, why is Coca-Cola advertising if it is not important? Coca-Cola still has the biggest advert budget in the world. They have content for 5 years' time created already. But it is not the New Testament or Old Testament. So they keep it there. If anything new happens, they tweak it or they pull it out. If something happens and you'll be surprised, within one day, Coca-Cola has a content that matches it. You ask yourself why. Look at your table. You can see Coca-Cola in 1 or 2 tables. Yet they still advertise. The question is why? Yet when something happens, the first thing you think of cutting cost on is advertising. How many schools here have a media person in-house or by contract? Please put your hands together for Ladela schools. You have a media consultant, whether in-house or as a contract person. Maybe you can afford it. You don't have to keep the person as a staff. Do you know that it's not enough for you to have 1 million to advertise? You need to know where to put that 1 million. Do you know it's not enough for you to say that, oh, radio is the most popular form of advertising. Even the Fulani man that is in the bush listens to radio. It reaches everywhere. Yes. But how many parents listen to radio at what time? Do you know? No, you might not. We sit down and say, traffic time. Hello? The fact that somebody is a civil servant and is in the car driving to work doesn't mean everybody in Abuja is in the car driving to work at that time. So it takes a specialist to tell you that the ears of your customer is open to the radio at 4:45 to 5 p.m. They know when the people you are looking for are listening. They know when those people are watching TV. It is no longer network news, sorry. So except you have the Dangote's money and you can spend 1 billion per minute and it doesn't mean whether you get feedback or not, you need a specialist to guide you on how to advertise. And no, advertising is not the least important thing. If your school is the best, my colleague there, Mr. Meka, he's supposed to make a presentation earlier today, but that's going to happen tomorrow. Maybe we'll send that to us much later. There's a phrase in his presentation that I saw and I smiled. Something like what Mr. Obin Naya will say. Having a good product and not advertising is like winking at a woman in the dark. So your school is good, who knows? And if the parents that are there already know, what plan do you have to make these parents your sales agents? The parents you have now, their children are in your school. And till tomorrow, my son is now in SS1. This school, like story I told you about, is primary school. I still sell that school. And they were not necessarily cheaper. Or the one I took him from wasn't cheaper than where. In fact, we paid less. So it's not about the cost, right? It's about prioritizing where you want to put money and where you want to get it back. So if you want, you must have a plan for advertising, for visibility. You must have a budget, no matter how small. It's the case of this is the little I have. And professional, so how can we maximize this money that I have? This is what I want to achieve. How can I maximize it? Where's your school located? You have your school is in Meitama, right? And you're probably advertising in a station that is talking to people who are in Gogwa Karimo and cannot afford your school.
Okay.
Where are you putting your money?
Thank you.
You have to be very strategic. So get a specialist, be strategic, instead of throwing your money away. And no, publicity is not optional. It is compulsory. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Queen Rita. Thank you. I'm a believer in that. In fact, I believe that marketing and sales is the soul of any business. If you are not marketing and you are not selling, there's no reason for you to be in business. And I remember one time, I think with Ebuka Coach, we had a marketing workshop for schools because schools don't believe in marketing. They don't see the importance of it. They don't allocate a budget to it. They don't allocate anybody to handle that aspect. They are not consistent. They are today on Instagram. You see them again next year. You go to their Facebook page, you go to their website, it hasn't been updated in years. And I just wonder, this is a business. It's no longer your passion. And so if you are not in marketing and sales, then you are not in business. So if there's another thing you are taking away from this conference, it is that you must dedicate a budget to marketing. You must be consistent with it, and you must be seen and you must be known for what you're doing if truly you think you're in business. Rita, thank you. He mentioned about customer relationship and management. We must learn to manage our customers and how to make sure that we have them on our right side. And then what service are we giving as a school? What is the service you are giving? What's parents' perception of your school? What do they perceive your school as? And that is where you need at times mystery shoppers. They'll tell you the truth if people are hiding the truth for you. And then marketing and advertising is not an option. It is something that we must incorporate. And she talked about having loyalty programs. That's what I'll call it for your customers, for your clients, for your parents. What is the loyalty program you have? A parent has given you 5 children to go through the school. What's the loyalty program for that parent? Or it's just thank you as you come and go. That's how it is. So we must begin to look at those things, please. And then be strategic. What you don't know how to do, outsource and ask. You are not entitled to, you are not supposed to know everything. You are not the monopoly of knowledge. And so outsource the skills that you don't have as a school. Thank you very much, Queen Rita. Thank you so much for that. And we'll take the last but not the least. And after this, we'll be very strategic with our questions and be very sharp with this. So if you have questions, get them ready, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All my ogas have spoken. So I'm just going to run a summary. To answer Mami's first question, she was asking about whether education is an essential sector or service. And I want to ask a question. Do you like the essence, do you like the idea of Coach Sam from the perspective of the service he provides? Yes or no? Yes. Yeah. So I want to say that, like myself, like anyone you've ever admired in any business, we are all products of education. And even as much as my parents invested in giving us, I attended the best of schools part-time. But I know that I didn't really attend the kind of schools that, if in retrospect, I'll be like, why my popsi no put me for this kind of school? In retrospect. So despite the fact that I think I'm a product of good education, I could have been better if my parents had the means to put me in a better place. So to answer that question directly, education is non-negotiable. And I want us to understand that from that perspective. Now let me ask a question. There are 2 movies that will summarize what I want to talk about now. And I want to ask how many of you have watched it before. It's a recommendation for you to look for it. How many of you have watched 3 Idiots before? 3 Idiots. Okay, I can see that's like 30% of the audience. Please raise your hand if you don't mind. Okay, a little more than 30%, maybe 40%. Please, 3 Idiots, write it down, kindly find it. There's another movie called PK. PK. How many of you have watched it? Okay, so only one person has watched PK. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is like deliverance session. Please write PK, look for PK and watch it. If you watch these 2 movies, then my job is done. I have 4 things I want to say to summarize my point. Number 1, as a school owner or investor in education or enthusiast in education, you need to think about future skills. I think that the way your school can become transferable across generations, and you can weather any storm, whether it's COVID or government policies or customer moving here and there, the jackpot to Canada, anyone. If your school is future skills based, then it will be very helpful for you. I liked when Theresa's doctor, when she talked about if she sees a school that is arts driven or sports driven, she will jump at it. That's someone like me. My second daughter is so techie kind of inspired, and I've been calculating, where can I take this girl? I don't want some conventional, she just day 1 school. I don't mind putting her in a tech driven school that is a school of that nature that can do other things. So if your school is a skills driven school, like she said, you will get traffic. So that's the first thing I want to advise. Before I continue, let me say that some of the things I will say may cost a bit for a school, transitioning from your conventional style into whatever I'm recommending. But for me, I think is a worthwhile investment. If you picture that, between now and the next 3 to 5 years, restructuring my school would come at a cost. Think of the post-cost benefit and plunge in. Because when you start reaping it, you will forget the fact that you went to the labor room. It's very, very helpful. So that's just by the way. Second thing I want to say is think of your school as a future. What is the future of this school? 20 years from now, what are we looking at? In our age and time, my first degree is computer science. But when I hear guys talk about NFT and cryptocurrency, blockchain, even me will be tech background, even me I the one that say, this thing, how this thing they be safe. So I mean, look at it from this perspective. I'm actually a degree owner in computer science, or degree holder, let me use that word. But even me, they try catch up. Do you understand? Let alone somebody that read Arabic or creative something or industrial design. I don't know how you guys want to cope. So you need to think of the future of your school. You need to say, in 40 years, what's the future of this school? And think in reverse engineering perspective to say, for us to be the future of this school, we must start thinking like this from now. And it's very important. To add to this, you want to ask yourself, what is the typical profile of a graduate from this school in 20 years' time? So if I want someone from this school, let's assume someone in this school wants to be the next Denzel Washington, or the next Chris Rock, or the next Dangote, or the next whoever is like doing well. If we can pick people as profiles and then work backwards to say, to become like this, these are the subject matters we must introduce in our school. While I don't have anything against JAMB and WAEC, I think that it is such like a general market thing. But we need to start working around intentionally indoctrinating kids into a career path. So that from the time you enter my school, you are introduced into a system that shapes you into a particular profession based on your personality, based on your interests, based on... I can't count how many parents have told me my child wants to drop out of school. I can't count. And it's always a dilemma. 2 days ago, I was still speaking to one young man who is in FUTA, who says because of ASU, he wants to drop out. I didn't know what to tell him. I was wondering, tell him to drop out. The life is open. Don't tell him to drop out. So even as a coach, I'm wondering, what's the approach to this conversation? Because me too, I'm thinking if I was at their level when I was in school, knowing that I will not use computer science, knowing that I will be a psychologist and neuroscientist, I'll tell my father, I don't know, no vex, but this thing is not working. So we are in a common dilemma, and you need to start thinking like that. Your school should produce usable graduates, not just they have 9 A's in WAEC. 9 A's in WAEC now is not a sellable value proposition. It's a fact that this boy has been programmed to become a pilot. This boy has been programmed to function in so career levels. So it may not be one career you are preparing a child for. Prepare them for a range of careers so that when they enter that system, they've been prepared for it. It's like programming. They are running an operating system. So that's the second. The third, which my doctor has specifically mentioned, was specialization. And I will not overflog it. It may cost you a bit to transit from being a conventional school into a school that is specialized in some level of skills or programs or courses, but please, it is a worthwhile investment. Honestly, it will pay off in the end. It may not look plausible right now. It may look too costly, but it is a worthwhile investment. So that's the third. The fourth is collaboration. And I think everyone has said it here. You may not have all it takes. Like Mami said, you are not obliged. It's not an obligation that you should do everything. But if I'm an art-based school, and you are a music-driven school, and there's a sports-driven school, we have some form of sellable services. So I can buy your service, you will buy my service. That way, we are producing champions who are specialized in several areas. It's just like in our schools today, they tell us, sign up in my daughter's school, they'll say, you can register her for drama or chess or swimming, so I have to cherry pick after school activities. If there are schools that are specialized in any of this kind of stuff, then the cherry picking is not after school. The cherry picking is in trade of service. So a staff is coming from Ladella to another school who is a champion in a particular subject matter. Do you know what the children from those schools will become? They have engaged a champion. And this is very important for schools. That way, it won't be an issue of one school is progressing and another school is falling, because that way we have a commonwealth of special schools. And the aggregate outcome is that education is winning. And that's my perspective. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, Mike.
Okay. Thank you very much, Coach Sam. Didn't expect less from that. Like he said, education is non-negotiable. So, which means we're in this for better, for worse. We're in it too. So it's non-negotiable. As a school owner, begin to think of the future skills you want the graduates from your school to learn. What do you want your school to be noted for? What is that niche you are looking at? If it is the arts, that singing, drawing, the top artists, the dancers, the ballet people know that you can use dance and creativity to produce magic in your school, let it be that. If it is that it is tech, let it be that. In fact, as he was speaking, and even as we've been brainstorming with our own school, we have decided we're doing tech and business and sports. And why are we doing tech and sports? Because we're going to use tech to enable every other thing. So that is key for us. And then sports, because we can see the advantages and what it brings into the lives of the children. So that is going to be our focus. And so decide which is your focus. So any monies I'm going to be spending now is into that direction. The other ones, I won't spend heavily on it because this is now my focus. This is where I want to go. So let's begin to look at the focus and let's begin to see where we want to go. And then you have to begin to see what is a typical profile. So I want the typical profile of a Ladola graduate to be TEDx speakers that can use technology to enable anything. You have a proposal, you have a problem, they can use tech to solve it for you. That is the profile I want to see. And so they can solve anything because they are solution providers as they move on. So begin to take that profile forward and begin to see how you begin to do that. And then specialization and collaboration. I'm a great fan of collaboration. I believe in collaborating a lot. Let's begin to do more of collaboration. And I think I'm happy the chairperson of the private schools is here. So I think we're going to have smaller conversations on these areas to see how that collaboration can work so that schools together can make it bigger. Now I'll take questions. I'll take questions so that from any of our speakers, if you want any particular speaker to answer any particular question, but if it's just a general question, anyone can answer it. So please, are there any questions we'd like to take now? Any questions? Tomorrow we have a full day on question and answer on any solution. Yes, please. I can see one hand behind there. I'm sorry, I should have brought the mic to you. But you can see that Ebuka is seated. Okay, you got the point. Thank you. Okay. Ebuka.
Good afternoon, everybody. I don't know if I'm permitted to ask my question to the previous speaker, not for the panel.
Go ahead.
Okay. My question goes to Mr. Obinaya. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I actually enjoyed your presentation earlier on, and the question I'm going to ask is this. You talked about, my name is Oluwada Isolasende, and I represent Arise and Flourish Books. Our booth is just over there. You talked about keeping our culture and our values, which is eroding over time. Now, it's really unfortunate that we don't teach history in our schools. And I don't know why the government or the policymakers are not seeing that as something that is important. It begins with that. I don't know what, we have a lot of people here, I don't know the caliber of people we have here, but if we have our policymakers who can ensure that history is taken back to schools, because our children don't know anything really about our history. If you mention who Abiola is, MK Abiola, they don't know. Or Kensaro, they don't know this. This is not, we are not even talking about Awolowo of the 60s. This is just the 90s. So if you can bring back our history to schools, I think it's also going to help. That's just, it's not a question really. I think it's just a contribution.
Thank you very much. I think we do have history back in the curriculum. It's back. It's back now.
It's back now, but it's unfortunate that it ever left.
It's not, yes.
It's unfortunate it ever left at all. I don't know whose idea that was, but let me also tell you, school owners, I said it earlier on, if you're not close to the fire, your yarn will never rose quickly. And I like what Taufik said, if you are not at the table, you are the menu on the table.
Yeah.
At the last NAPS event, I asked a simple question. I was the MC. I said, NAPS is supposed to be in all the states of the Federation. I'm sure you are. Now they have gone to do form, and they have jacked up the form to 100 million. How many school owners bought the form? But no problem, you mustn't contest presidency that they buy form and withdraw after buying the form. But you can start from councillorship. You can start from chairmanship. You can take over the states after 5 or some years. The day NAPS people take over the states as governors, as House of Reps, as Senate people, then we can determine what will happen. But now things are happening to us. I didn't do government, I did history. So Lou, I agree with you, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't need to do this to survive. I'm a public speaker. I get paid for speaking. I do content for different TV stations. I do different things. But I can tell you we are forced to do this because if you don't do it, nobody will do it. Be the change you want to see.
Yes, sir.
So now, you have heard a young man, let us through the private schools. On your own, Oyo, let's leave the government ones. You heard one woman said that they have only 88 schools in FCT. NAPS has over 3,600 in FCT. Fact.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you. I want to especially thank all our speakers. They've been very excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Alex. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Queen Rita. Thank you, Coach Sam. There's one hand there. Okay, I had said any question, nobody raised hand. I'm doing thank you, you raise hand. Okay. Okay, now, question to the point. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the privilege. My question goes to Coach Sam. The question is, how do you balance the issue of collaboration in relation to value perception and competitive advantage among school owners?
I know where that your question went.
Thank you very much. So, just like in business, there's what we call mergers and acquisition. That's how it plays out. You don't just jump into a collaboration. The fact that we all have said collaborate, shared services, it doesn't mean that you just say, I like that school, let me go and collaborate. No, there are some underground decisions that must be checked. Value system, like you said, direction, like you said, differentiation. What am I not doing that they are doing? And in what are our shared beliefs? If somebody is chronically money driven and you are chronically impact driven, from the beginning you don't fail. So of course we would not expect that. I think it's given. Some things are given that you will do your background checks and your KYCs and all that before you jump into collaboration. Thank you. I would like to use this opportunity to talk about this boy that just asked a question, Arise and Shine. He's a Arise and Flourish. He's a representative of the sickle cell community, and they have a stand that discusses sickle cell related interventions. And I thought that I should take this opportunity to put a spotlight on what they do, because I've known them from Lagos and they are doing a lot of work. Well done.
Well, I want to say a big thank you to we finished that. No. You can't just not be thinking of the question now. Tomorrow is question and answer. Except if you don't hear that answer today, it will affect your life. Will it affect it? Okay. 1 minute.
Yeah, please, I'll do that. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. What I want to do is I just want to give a contribution, a suggestion, as you were. While Dr. Tabitha was talking, something just resonated with me. She mentioned something about sports. And I noticed that sports is not as big as it used to be back in the days. I know when I was growing up, when I was in my primary school, sports was really a very big part of schooling. In fact, while you're reporting, there is a column where you're supposed to, you put it there, we're supposed to talk about the child's sporting abilities. But these days, it's no longer there. In fact, most schools don't do it at all. And even the ones that do it just a little bit. But I want to say sport is important because they say you need a healthy body. Yeah, good. Yeah, I was impressed when you said that. You need a healthy mind or a healthy body to have a healthy mind. So it's important that you try to give more time, give more attention to sports in school. It's really good for the children.
Please, he's saying we shouldn't forget sports. In those days, in our report card, there was a column for sports, and it was very clear. I know for many of us, maybe space is a problem. And in talking about collaboration, recently I was talking to the schools in my area, and I said the amount of money and the heartache we spend on transportation of children, it doesn't make sense. The drivers rip off, they are doing this, they are doing. So I told them, can I have 10 schools come together? We're already speaking to the top transporters to take it up with insurance, with everything in place, so that we outsource it and we rest from that. It's the power of collaboration. Thank you. So thank you very much to our team. See, after we say we are finished, Queen Rita say hi. Ha, 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 ha. How? Well, because she's a panelist, please, can she do 1 minute? Yes or no?
Thank you very much, Ma. I just wanted to say, still in the collaboration and sports conversation, like Mami Ajala said, this is Abuja and land doesn't come cheap. And so we have a lot of schools who cannot really afford to have the necessary sporting facilities. I think that's the place where you should actually look into collaboration. There's nothing wrong with having your kids go for a football match in another school because they have the facility. So you can look at which school has that strength and collaborate with them in terms of assessing their facility. I've had to change my son's school because of sports before. So instead of you to lose students for that reason, look for the school that have those facilities and collaborate so you can share facilities. Just put out something. Thank you.
Please, can we give them a round of applause for excellent conversation this afternoon? Thank you all very much. Coach Sam, thank you. Queen Rita, thank you. Tabitha, thank you. Uncle Alex, thank you. We're grateful. Thank you.